Oh, good. Oh, oops. Oops. Dark. Dark. There we go. Much better. Alright, let me see. I hope our friends arrive soon. Also, better switch over. So, today I need to have Miguel, White Despair, and Jason. Hopefully they arrive. Ah, White Despair. White Despair, buddy. I've got like a good Hero Academia topic, like a ridiculously good Hero Academia topic. Oh, I'm alright, White Despair. I'm more excited that we have a good Hero Academia topic to talk about. I was doing research to see what the Japanese audience thought about Hero Academia, for Villain Academia. Um, like that in of itself wasn't that spectacular, but I found out other things. Well, I found a review, and I read the review, and I thought the review was very interesting. That's why I wanted to talk about it here. So that's what we're going to be doing. Nah, like White Despair, this is gonna be like fully like it's gonna be one of those intellectual talks. The review itself, I think, is good for like a discussion review, but it's gonna be so interesting because you can spot that there's like some like it's got its flaws, but it's still like a thought provoking one, and I'm very excited. It's very it was it was neat reading it. Even with the translation from Japanese to English, like I think the majority of the intention was maintained, which I'm very happy about. What season do you think the manga is on? I will say early 7. Oh, yeah, yeah, that's season 7. Yeah, I hear bias. Ah, bias. Um, nah. Like I think that the reviewer is like definitely a particular kind of person, probably like probably a super logical person, but it's just so good. Like it was a giant review on Amazon. Like I don't usually see the amount of the size it had. It'll be interesting. We just gotta wait for Jason, I think, because Jason was one of the people that wanted to kind of know, and the birds. God damn it, the birds. Anyway, otherwise, we're gonna be exploring Inazuma in the meantime. If you guys got anything you want to talk about, like let me know. And Ty, hey man. Oh, nothing much is going on with me, Ty. Anyway, for Inazuma here, I've just been kind of looking around, but I haven't been doing any quests. So that's probably what we're going to be doing in the meantime, as we wait for people to arrive. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that was worthwhile today, that was worth telling you guys about. Can't really think of anything, honestly. So right now in the game, we're doing fetch quest. Well, not fetch quests. We're doing like story quests.
Why are you doing this? Why leave all of a sudden after all these years?
Precisely. It's much too sudden. We've had no time to prepare.
Is the audio off? Oh, Ty, I forgot about that. We can watch it later. Common, where is the audio off? Guys, 1 second. The birds are just a little bit too much. Okay, birds are handled. Um, the bird revolution is coming. I've been able to stop them from.
The children are desperate for you to take them out to play. Please, we urge you to reconsider.
I've been able to take the birds. I've got more control over them. I've stopped the revolution.
That must be the guy Ayaka told us about. Let's go over and see.
Let's see. I don't really want to do that storyline first. I want to do like the other stories. Anyway, Inazuma so far, I like the environment, man. Like it's just there's a lot of things going on. Like these random marauders out here, they're just ready to kill someone. There's a city over there. Yeah, man. It's been quite lovely. Oh, 1 second here. Trip, did you see the news about Activision Blizzard? No, man. I didn't. What's going on with Activision Blizzard? Oh wait, there's thingamajigs over here. Oh, I know. I think I know which ones these are. I think I already beat these guys up last time. I can't tell the difference with Genshin. Ah, fair enough. Like, I've so far found Inazuma to be a more interesting environment.
Beg for mercy.
I've got to step away, but... oh, okay, gotcha, White Despair. Hopefully Jason will be back by then. Oh, this guy.
There's more.
Crush.
Let's see, California's suing them big time. Oh, what are they getting sued for? What did Activision do? That's pretty funny. In California, of all places, that's interesting. If I have the electro gun, I think I get in there. Can I get in
More
there?
speed.
Oh, there we go. Not too sure what I want to do here. Whatever. We'll continue moving on. I want to do quests. Oh, hey Viz. Viz, we're gonna be talking about Hero Academia. I'm gonna be reading through a review that I found on Japanese Amazon, just because I found it really interesting. Are they being evil and screwing over? Oh, so fostering a frat boy atmosphere and constant sexual harassment of female employees. I don't think they're gonna be taken down for like fostering a frat boy atmosphere. Like, how do you even legally define that? And is there anything that's illegal about fostering a frat boy atmosphere? Like, think about that for a second. Like, from a legal definition, that's not very strong. But for sexual harassment, if they got like a good amount of, if they got evidence, they could probably take it down. But I wonder, will Activision just settle? That's usually what happens in these kind of situations. Kid's got some good stuff. Shady business. You play Tamari with him. Tamari, what's Tamari? I'll had if break broken, find it within time. Okay. If you win, you'll get the good stuff. So if you'll get good stuff, okay. Okay, let's see. Oh, wait. There we go. This direction. Wait. God. That direction? Oh, god damn it. Oh, what's
More
that?
speed.
Huh. Nice. We did it. Let's see. Kids over here. Certainly have been to Mondstadt. Super duper towers. Yes, there are towers. So the kid's out alone in the wild. Okay. She was an adventurer. Oh, greedy travelers. Okay, cool. Okay, there's a lot of talking with this kid. Okay, that was a long conversation chain. Did you see the Marvel What If? One part of the trailer had Killmonger saving Iron Man from the bomb that messed up his chest, then a Doctor Strange Spider-Man. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay, so, and there was a suicide of a female employee got so bad. Oh, jeez. It's in the oh, I'll have to read that part up then. They will settle and take the slap on the wrist, like $1 or $2 million fine, which is nothing huge, which is nothing to a huge company like them. But I wonder if the social ramifications will do something. That's probably the next big question. So interact with the Tamari next to the kid to play a unique Tamari-based game. Players will be split between the role of keeper and thief. Okay. Huh. So you can play with your friends? That's nice. Anyway, yeah, Ty, like I didn't see the trailer for the what if stuff. Is it animated? I believe it was supposed to be animated, right? Okay, that's one quest down. Let's do the next one. What kind of story? So a special plant in Sumeru. There's a boat at the bottom of the sea. By riding a boat, people can go to the deep sea. Oh, it's a submarine. Stop sending me travel logs. Okay, let's see. Okay, there's just, so this is a new quest to look for. Oh, hey, do you see if you hit him with electro? Oh yes, I know about that. I figured that out. Let's see. If I haven't seen the news on it, it's probably not large enough to have huge social ramifications. Well, hopefully it'll get picked up a little bit more. That's what I would hope for. So I think what I'll do, I do still need to get the rest of these, and that might be a little bit more fun than doing the quest. And then hopefully by that time, White Despair will be back and we'll have the regular group. Let's see. Yeah, what if animated and we'll have Chadwick Boseman's last time playing T'Challa? Oh. Oh. That'll be okay. That'll be sad. Okay, that'll be worthwhile. When is it coming out? Do you know, Ty?
More speed.
So I'm gonna go and hop on my dinghy, and we're gonna go west, and we're gonna check out the rest of Inazuma without doing the rest of the story. So for social only matters you have any self-respect. They have no shame at this point. Yes, Activision is like the worst company in America, or like, you know, I'm not sure if they won the award recently, but they were the worst company in America at some point.
Shut up.
Oh wait, sorry, that's EA. Sorry, wrong. Wait, EA owns it, right?
Think you can get away?
Oh, I forget my companies now.
Beg for mercy.
EA Activision. I feel like that's how it goes.
Good grief.
That was a pretty big toss.
Brace yourselves. Vengeance will be mine.
Oh, hey, Sar. Oh, guys, for anyone that's interested, the One Piece spoilers did come out. I don't know if Hero Academia spoilers will come out, but probably not. Probably wait for, like, if we get lucky, maybe it comes out next Monday. Marvel What If comes out August 11th. Okay, cool. When you say Inazuma, do you mean Inazuma 11? Oh, no. No, no. I mean, like, quite literally Inazuma and Genshin. I should probably change the title. Is One Piece interesting? Ah, Speed, I find it interesting, man. Like, I enjoy One Piece. That's pretty much, like, the best way I can describe it. Activision Blizzard, I think, are top 5. Yeah. That makes sense to me, man. Like, I still remember that one time that Blizzard took China's side with the whole Hong Kong protest, and it's like, come on, man. Like, why'd you have to do that? They've had some really epic takes, though. Like, remember the time they said, like, or they complained at the audience and asked them, do you guys not have mobile phones? And it's like, bro, it's the fact that it's going to be on a mobile phone that's going to suck. When they were talking about, what, Diablo or something like that? Electrogana. Electrogana. Where's the Electrogana? Collect 8 electroparticles. Oh, no, not doing that swim. There's usually Electrogana nearby. Oh, there it is. Okay, gotcha speed. I was okay. That makes more sense. Gotcha speed. The spoilers are. I'm happy about them because they have Robin actually getting her moment, which is really all I want. And then Brooke gets to do something, and then it reveals. It reveals Kaido. Oh, sorry, not Kaido. Yamato's
More
fruit,
speed.
and Oda's using a very obscure Japanese deity. So that was neat. That's all I can really say. It's neat. So I can't. I need to be able to access that to be able to get on my little dinghy. Otherwise, I can go around the islands probably. I wonder if it'll let me, because now this is kind of questionable. Will it let me go through? Oh, Susan. Ubisoft will be in the right but they aren't included on
gliding
the.
be
Yeah,
faster?
they are Europe. Yep. So she's from Mondstadt. So okay, the situation is okay. So this girl's been stranded. He's lazy. Okay. Okay, yeah, we'll take some pictures for her. Oh, okay. She wants a picture. Hopefully that works for her. I think this is not the right one. Oh, no, never mind, that worked. Okay. Well, that was nice. Simple. Vane. You think Shoto will eventually get a hero name? I don't think he needs to. Like, honestly, I don't know, Ty. Do we need hero names? Okay, so we got 14 people. I don't know if Jason's going to show up in time. Yeah, okay. Trip, from what I'm reading, it's the California Department of Fair Employment. How isn't it suing actively? That's pretty big. Oh, okay. Well, let's hope that they take an L on this one. And okay, so White Despair is here. We're still missing like a good chunk of our regulars, but I guess what can we really do? What's up, Sar? Do. Gonna just jump down real quick. Gonna get on the boat. Ah, that's why. Right. Okay, so that's what's going on. We are being stuck on the island. Right. Okay. This girl's letter. Oh, if you read you'll get the answer to do hero need. Like, did that come up recently? I mean, like, I read the webcomic for it sometimes. We'll do that. Give the letter to Buddy Guy. Where is he? He's over here. So we can do that. Hero names are important. Also, did you hear that One Piece beat out all the Batman sales from 1939? I mean, I'm not surprised. Like, One Piece is a juggernaut, man. Like, One Piece is amazing. One Piece has so much control. It's been slowly coming through as of late. I mean, the FBI is heavily cracking down on gangster rapper, apparently. Oh. Okay. Let's deliver this letter. Okay, so he's somewhere. He's over there. Alright. Let's get this letter so that we can get out of Inazuma. Or, like, get out of this Inazuma island. You have started later recently, so people may... Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. We did go a little bit earlier. Now we're waiting for One Piece to beat the Superman sales. Well, that's gonna happen. Like, that's 100% gonna happen. Oh, this is lovely. So these guys, in case you don't know, these, like, the person on the letter for, they have a little bit of a love story. That's why they're okay, why do you want to go there? Thinking of sending something. Oh, this is nice. Wow, so this is kind of like a Juliet and Romeo story. Their parents don't want them to be together. Well, at least we get the... At least we're gonna get the travel permit. Alright. Now we're waiting... Okay, manga's on the upswing while comics are in decline. Yes, I do know about that. Although, like, I feel like that's been happening for a long time. But what do I know? I don't follow the sales on this side of the ocean. Oh, that's Mondstadt outfit. Alright. Let's do a very quick summon round, and then we'll switch over to talking about Hero Academia proper. And yeah, I don't think we'll get a 5-star. I just want to get some summons going. If I get Yanfei, that'd be nice too, but I don't... Okay, sacrificial fragments. Great. It's like every teenage romance. Pretty much speed. Well, this one at least you got, like, the guy's got a different kind of social status, and then the girl's like a princess kinda. Or like, you know, she's like the daughter of a noble kind of thing. Okay. Oh, good. We got her. Excellent. So I don't have Yanfei, so this is very excellent. So 2 4-stars was pretty good. Excellent. Nice. I'm happy. Say Marvel should have spoken adapting famous comics into animated films or series. World War Hulk needs a movie. I agree. Anyway, that'll be it for that. And then...
Come on, traveler. Let's go. The world is full of lost
I
knowledge.
will start loading up for the Hero Academia discussion. So guys, for those that don't know, I was talking about it with White Despair there, but I was doing research about whether or not Villain Academia was popular in Japan. And honestly, you know, just from looking at Amazon, really inconclusive. I couldn't find any trends. Like, there is a trend on the Hero Academia thing. There's definitely a trend. I'll show it to you, like, once we get there. Let me just load up the... I just need to load up the pages for it. But there's no trend to say that Villain Academia was terrible. I think the next thing that I'll probably be looking at is probably the Shonen Jump table of contents throughout the time period that Villain Academia was going on. But in terms of Amazon ratings, I don't see anything to say that it was overtly terrible. And if we were to try and say that, like, it'd be a little bit of a disingenuous conversation, I think. Just because, like, we'd be trying to fit something that's not happening. Although, like, I guess there is, like, there are a few patterns, but it's nothing conclusive. It's nothing conclusive it's nothing conclusive enough for us. The unending nature of comics is probably detrimental to comics growth. I agree. I feel like it's cool to have Justice League and all that, but at some point it's just the reboots aren't really reboots because they can never really go back on their legacy. Yeah, I think they could do with standalone stories more often than not. And you know what? I think I don't want multiple authors. I think just one author does everything. I think that'd be quite fine. I mean, yeah, you'd probably die, but I'd rather one author do everything. Like, there's some authors that can do it. Like, the guy that does the Stormlight archives or whatever, he puts out a lot of books. I mean, like, yeah, again, you need a superstar author, but... It's just like that's the issue I have with comics. It's just like one guy does something and the other guy overwrites something just because. and it's just it doesn't make it for a fun experience for me. All right, so guys, give me a second to load up here. Oh, nice. It loaded up naturally. Nice, nice, nice. So give me a quick second. That's just my deep translate that I was using earlier, just to get some of the things set up. But this is the one. Okay, cool. Here we go. Now this one's gonna be a little bit interesting because so guys, I'll fix this up in a second. It's just gonna be a little bit interesting trying to get this to work the way I want it to. Chrome, there we go. All right. Let's see if I can get this to go. Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll play around with it. Will be another case of 1 a.m. No, not today, Vance. We got a break, man. Not today. Maybe next week. Not today, man. Trip's author demands needs to be immortal to make the story consistent and everlasting. Yes. Yes. Like, I need... Well, like, if the one guy that does Stormlight or Archives or whatever it's called can do it, I feel like there should be at least 10 other people in the comics industry that can do it. But, okay, you know, I know I'm being unreasonable, but I don't care. Terry Pratchett also put out a lot of books. Like, all I'm asking for is for, like, a level of consistency comparable to Terry Pratchett. Yeah, no, I know I'm being unreasonable. People end up dying if they tried to actually no, Oda, we have Oda. Yeah, no, you know, I keep thinking like, oh no, it's impossible, but I'm thinking like, no, we have examples of people that do it. Oh, okay. Jason, you're here. Okay, thank goodness, thank God. All right, Jason, man. So as I told everyone else, Jason, I was doing research to find out, like, did Japan actually really dislike things? And so that's what we have here. This is I didn't find anything conclusive on that on the Amazon side. What I did find though was a really cool review that I thought was worth looking at. So before we get into that, I just want to very quickly. So in general, I just want to like point you guys towards something. Like, mind you, it's gonna actually, maybe I can find it something that's a little bit better in order. Ignore any scantily clad women that pop up on the screen. That's just Japan doing Japan. So first off, just want to say, in terms of popularity and that kind of stuff, there's no easy way to determine from the Amazon ratings whether or not Villain Academia was unpopular. Like, the closest thing you could say, maybe if you squint really hard, is that like it has a slightly lower star rating than the rest of the stuff, but it doesn't really track. Like, we have the numbers right here, so if you look at the numbers, can you guys see the... Let me see if I can zoom in here so you guys can see a little bit better. Let's see. All right. One second. I'm trying to see if you guys can see well enough here. So I think you guys should be able to see, but if you can't, let me know. But we're looking at volume 13, and you might notice that there is kind of an increase. Like, some numbers are higher than others, but just continue looking at it. It goes from 300. We cross into 400 at volume 20. 500, 569, 620, 697, 826, 946, 970, 1000. So if you notice, when it comes to the ratings, it's already kind of difficult because Hero Academia was gaining ratings as it went in time. So there's no real way, like, you can't look at this and see that this has an 800 and then see that volume 28 has 1000 and say that, oh, Villain Academia is unpopular. No, that's not. If anything, Villain Academia continued the upward trend with ratings that we ultimately saw here. Trip, your search history has been exposed by Amazon. Ha, I wish. No, this is just what the Japanese look at. Have one author do their run of story like then it ends. This author is Superman. Great, now I know where to start from. Yes. There was this comic writer that continued the Cassandra Cain Batgirl story and turned her into a villain without reading her character history, which is amazing. He apologized, but still gets... Okay. Oh, hey, Hercules. Tad late, but Sanderson is such a fantastic writer. Sadly, I've yet to start reading the Stormlight archive as it's coming up on my list. I know of him for finishing The Wheel of Time, which I'm not far in. Right, yeah, people praise... But Sanderson is cosmic brain good. Yeah, no, I recently like read up on him a little bit because like I want to emulate like his production pattern. Like I want to produce like one novel every month. So that's what I was looking at him for. Did you also check volume sales? Jason, for that one, I took your word for it. Like I could go back and look at the volume sales because I know where to find them. But I like when Amazon is usually pretty reflective, such that I don't think there's going to be a bad discrepancy. Because I don't think there was a big problem when it comes down to it. Because at the end of the day, people aren't going to give up Hero Academia for a thing. If anything, like what we should have been looking for was for Villain Academia to have a sudden drop-off and not continue the trend on Amazon. But all that said and done, one of the volumes had a very interesting thing. Let me see if I can find it now. Actually, yeah, we're here. So we're looking at volume 25, and I just came across this while I was doing the research. This review, this is one of the longest reviews that I have ever seen on Amazon in my time of doing research on Japanese Amazon, which has been a month. So maybe that's not like a really great sample size, but this was significantly big. And what's interesting is that, so this is something that will always happen. Negative reviews will always be longer than positive reviews. This is just a natural fact because when people know, like people know how to criticize more than they know how to praise. Because criticizing, you know exactly what you're looking for. But I wouldn't take these reviews to be indicative of anything. But this particular review was interesting. Now, mind you, it's the most helpful review on Amazon. I don't know the meta for that kind of stuff being a helpful review. All it really says is just like people thought the review was probably fair. That's probably what it's going to say. I haven't really looked into this, but I heard I consider for whatever reason when they could initially calculate volumes sold, they looked at a shorter period of time compared to other volumes, thus making it initially look like the arc was in sell when actually those volumes sold a bit. Any news on what Japan thinks? I wish we could hear what manga authors' thoughts are on it. Imagine what Horikoshi thought of it. Yeah, no, Ty, I haven't seen any information about that. Usually busy being... Oh wait, funny enough that you're talking about... In Monster, there are things that people complain about in the West on Twitter, but Japanese Twitter is usually busy being positive. I find this to be the same with My Hero Academia. Oh, cool. Better than the last few volumes. Yeah, so I can talk about that White Despair because it happens on the light novel charts as well. So on the light novel charts, they start calculating at the middle of the week. But if you start like if a novel releases like in Wednesday, it's going to reflect on the chart. And what's going to happen is that the novel is going to bleed over into the next week, and it might not show up on the chart of next week if other releases came out early. So yes, no, it's because of the way it's tracked, 100%. You have to watch out for the way it's tracked. Like whenever I read the light novel charts, I'm always looking back 1 week to see if anything came out on a weird day. And usually when an expected release has few numbers, it's because of the counting period. So most likely that's what happened. In trades, but you need to know about them. Their design of covers aren't consistent. You can't tell at a glance they're all... Wait. Yes, in trade, but you need to know about them. The design of covers aren't consistent. Oh yeah. The designs of covers on comics aren't consistent. Okay. So let me see if I can zoom in on this one so you guys can see a little bit better. Okay, so this review, I found it to be very interesting. I think it's a different perspective. And at this point is where I have to say, to make sure that we all understand, is that there's two kinds of readers, right? There's the reviewers and the non-reviewers. The reviewers, and I want to make sure we all, before we go into this, understand, the purpose of a reviewer is really just there to put words to feelings that people might have. Like a reviewer is there to point out like the little things that a person might not pay attention to, or like again to explain why a person might not like a particular thing. You know, when one person says, "Oh yeah, I just don't like a series," a reviewer can come in and say, "Yeah, I don't like a series because this, and this, and how that leads into that." That's the purpose of a review. Now, what happens with reviewers in general? This happens on Amazon in general as well, but some people are really critical, but the reality is that what a reviewer looks for isn't the same thing that the general audience looks for, and they have to be really careful for that. The majority of the general audience looks for emotional response, whereas reviewers that can write a lot tend to look at the logic of situations, and you're going to see that come out here quite a bit in this particular review. So we're looking at volume 25. So this is the ending of Villain Academia. It's really interesting though, because the things that they pointed out, some of it was unfair, but some of it was again very worth looking at. So I'll read it out loud and we'll like go through it, and I think you guys can see a little bit of it there. So I wrote down a lot of my thoughts and it became very long. I hope you will read it if you have time and interest. People had interest. I'm sure there'll be a lot of unpleasant expressions for fans and people who think the work is interesting. I hope those people will find something else to do with their time. Okay, so general comments on the villain arc. So, my conclusion about the villain arc, it's a farce. In the end, I described at length the past of Shigaraki. So, this is just saying that he was writing about this. So, this first section here is talking about a contradiction with Shigaraki. And what he's pointing out, I think, is worthwhile when it comes to Shigaraki, because it revolves around Shigaraki's hand fetish. If we assume that he was... Okay, so I'm reading back what he was saying. If we assume that he was distorted due to his environment, then we should be able to understand the lines, "I was relieved when I killed my family with a clear intent to kill, and the pleasure of killing." And if he's distorted by his environment, then there's a discrepancy between his words, "I felt good after killing my family with a clear intent," and the tragic deaths. If he was psychopathic and crazy from the beginning, he wouldn't need the blame-shifting lines like, if only someone had reached out to him. So, what he's saying here, we know this line, "if only someone had reached out to him," that's from his narration. It's that one time that when Shigaraki was talking back, like thinking back, if only someone had reached out to me, things would have been different. What he's saying here is that the way that Shigaraki was presented, it seemed like he was born wrong. And mind you, what he's talking about here also has to do with what All For One said, that being that Shigaraki was born incorrectly. He was born broken. So it's interesting because this person's going a little bit further and talking about the fact that if Shigaraki got a visceral response from killing his family, this can't be reconciled with the idea that things could have been changed if someone reached out to him. So that's interesting, but for me, this comes back to just the issue we have with All For One in general, right? Like All For One said Shigaraki was born this way, but then we look at the situation with Shigaraki and it's like, I don't think so, right? So I think this is just indicative of how messy Shigaraki is in general. I think what this criticism ultimately is aimed towards is just the fact that Shigaraki is both himself and then also All For One's weapon. And the reason I thought about this too is because like White Despair brought this up yesterday about how Shigaraki, or like when it came to Izuku was seeing the things that Shigaraki did and was attributing them to the fear of All For One. So is this muddiness with Shigaraki, and like we've had this discussion in many different forms, White Despair and I, Jason, about what exactly it is that All For One wants. And when it comes to now the nature versus nurture issue here with Shigaraki, it's interesting. It's interesting how this particular writer brought it up. And I think this is like, after reading this, I kind of want to go back and look at Villain Academia and specifically look at what Shigaraki's saying about his family. Like, I thought I have an understanding of it. Like, he has a, like, for some reason, like in my mind, I can imagine him saying, if only something was different. But that the person that is saying that is different from the person who's saying that he feels better destroying everything. But that person who's saying he feels better destroying everything is also at the end of the line. It's interesting. But we know that Shigaraki has a conflict within himself. We know that innocent Shigaraki is still in there because we see Shigaraki trying to keep it down. So this first criticism in general is criticizing the muddiness that occurs with Shigaraki. And I think that's ultimately fair, but I think it can be reconciled if you take time to go through it. But it's still muddy. Moving on. The person went on to say if he was psychopathic and crazy from the beginning, he wouldn't need the blame shifting lines if only someone had reached out to him. I just think Shigaraki wasn't like that from the beginning, so that's an easy fix. In the first place, in a society... Okay, so this is the next part. In a society where there are deformed species with snakes and centipedes in their heads, it seems unnatural to ignore children just because they are creepy. So, here's where we go into now, I think, logic versus emotional. Because when I read this, it's like, oh yeah, logically, they shouldn't be freaked out because he looks weird. And that's actually a really good point. But when you look at the Shigaraki panel, that Shigaraki panel is there to more show emotional disturbance. And I think that's where the problem is. The Shigaraki panel that they're referring to when that old lady runs away, I think it's like an unnatural aura of like something weird is going on here. Like you just don't want to touch it, like repulsive. I think it's different. You know, like Hero Academia Society, if we talk about it, Hero Academia Society isn't really good at mental deviancy, but they're good more or less at accepting physical deviancy. So that might be the issue here. But this is again, the conflict between reading the logic and not taking into account the emotion of the scene. Because the emotion of the scene justifies it beyond the appearance. Oh, hey, Revenant. I've always seen the argument on nature for Shigaraki to be interesting because personally I'd say they're both important. Obviously, all for one nurture, but we're also shown things that point to Shigaraki's nature being responsible for his desire of destruction. Just look at the thugs who beat up Shigaraki. Oh, and Shigaraki... Oh, hey, Tiandra, we're just reading a review. They shouldn't, but they did. That's the point. Oh, I should change the... I should change the title. Of the stream. 1 second, guys. They shouldn't, but they did. That's the point. The people suck. Well, no, like again, like he's making the point that he read it as if the issue was appearance, it shouldn't have happened. Shigaraki is someone who's susceptible to his quirk impulses, much like Toga. You see, Speed, the problem with me is like I don't like talking about quirk impulses when we don't have it like fully understood. So I don't want to think like Shigaraki feels the desire to always use his quirk. I wish the author talked about it more so I could be like firmly in one camp, man. I wanted to kill them, but best way to describe it is that all for one nurtured the natural destructive nature of Shigaraki. Yeah, I don't know if Shigaraki had a natural destructive nature, because like when I look at Shigaraki, like Tenko has like a naturally aspirational nature. He wants to be like his grandma. Like his grandma brought him hope, right? Like I don't see how you can, from me, my perspective, I don't see destruction being in his nature. I see destruction. I see aspiration being in Shigaraki's nature. Like again, that boy crying in the background, the boy that was telling Shigaraki to not go forward, right? That little bit of Tenko is still there. I feel like the maliciousness that we see with Shigaraki is after things are already going wrong. The new Genshin update doesn't look as fun as it was implied. Skelly, you're fun, man. He's looking at it he could have felt relief from killing it in moments and not be psychopathic. Also, kids can't be psychopathic. Before the quirk awakening, though. Yeah. I agree. I see what you're saying, Jason. I see what you're saying. Like, it's about the time frame. Anyway, moving on. They went on to say, unlike Eri in the intern episode, she's not being chased away by anyone. So it's just a matter of going to the... Or she's not being chased by anyone. So it's just a matter of going to the police, the hospital, or the hero's office, right? That's how I feel. So this is, again, really interesting. So this is, again, like the issue between logic and emotion here. and maybe also like taking time. He's saying, well, why didn't Shigaraki just go to the hospital or the hero office? Shigaraki was probably in shock. Now, the reason that this is worth pointing out too is that sometimes other anime reviewers will talk like this. Like, I remember Chibi Reviews was saying that Ochako failed Toga because Toga was crying out for help or whatever, and it's like, bro, Toga just almost murdered someone or might have murdered someone. Ochako was in freak out mode. But again, another interesting look at the mind of the writer. Yeah, I agree with Matt on that one. Let's see. So to quote the words of the intern chapter, he just wasn't ready to be saved. And in the end, I don't know what he wanted to say in this flashback. In the end, let's see. Or what kind. So at this point, he's just saying they don't know what character they wanted to make out of Shigaraki. The tragic turn of events itself is not a tragedy that happened by accident, but rather a tragedy that was created in order to make it happen that way. So this line, talking about it was a tragedy that was created in order to make it happen that way, I'm not sure if he's talking about All For One being the one to orchestrate it, or if he's talking about narrative forcing. Given the rest of the thing, it must be narrative forcing and not All For One forcing. But we'll just skip that point because it's too unclear. Anyway, the person also went on to say, Revenant, no, you're not banned. No matter how many times I rewatched it, I couldn't tell the difference in gender or age by the size of their hands. So this is another point that we had for that time period. Hana is apparently on Shigaraki's body, but you would never know that. Like, the hands on Shigaraki are honestly irrelevant, because a bunch of them get destroyed anyway, and All For One quickly replaces them, so the hands are irrelevant. The hands have never made sense, no matter how you look at it, because Hana's hands are the same size as everyone else. Okay, so he goes back to the main story here, the fight between Destro and Shigaraki. He calls it rather tame. And he goes on to say, I don't mind if Destro surrenders before the awakened Shigaraki. I don't know what to make of it. For example, the first time he fights with Shigaraki, he's in a fight. For the first time, when he fights Shigaraki for the first time and says that he's too weak, he reminisces with All For One and says that he was defeated by the overwhelming power of Shigaraki and that he was fascinated by the scene of overwhelming destruction. It would have been easier to swallow if there was some kind of description like he was as good or better than All For One at that time, but there's nothing like that. So he's talking about Destro. No, it might be the doctor. The doctor's talking. I don't know about that one. I don't know what he's trying to say on that one. Anyway, since there was nothing like that, I can only feel that they got bored with villain arc or ran away from the description. After that, I couldn't care less about the integration of the Villain Alliance and Liberation Army, a development that anyone could have predicted. I predicted that one too, so that was funny. The result of the battle was 110,000 to 6 with no deaths on the side of the Villain League. So this is a funny criticism just because we know numbers don't matter in Hero Academia. Not really, not when it comes down to the bigwigs. It's all about quality. The only fatal part that doesn't matter anymore is resetting of growth. So he goes on to say, what binds you is the destruction of your hands and the awakening of your abilities through overcoming trauma, in reference to Shigaraki. The reviewer really liked the idea that this was the only way to grow, and it made sense. However, in the end, he couldn't let go of the things that bound him, the hands, and the schizophrenic gag, and he just gave the impression that he was growing up, and I don't know what he really wanted to do. So this line here is speaking of, he spends so much time talking about how he's liberated from the hands, and we do see that the hands were a big thing in that arc where he destroys that hand and then he goes full on using his power. But then when you go further into the thing, he's back to using the hands. Like, remember, Spinner had to put a hand back on Shigaraki to wake him up, although that hand might be a trigger of just bad feelings. So this is just again pointing out some confusing stuff. Now he went on to say some, yeah, Jason, pretty much. He goes on to say they don't know if the creator didn't have confidence to make use of the characters without symbols like hands and schizophrenia, or if they're afraid, but I really think this is out of the question. So I was frustrated reading that part of the story, but I thought back. The protagonist, who had been trained hard in the hero department, was losing power to people from the normal department, and Bakugo, who was supposed to have achieved mental growth by lecturing the kids, blah blah blah. They were convinced that it wasn't just the villain arc that was growing up and not growing up, but I couldn't understand his intentions, so that made me feel gloomy again. I assume this is just talking about sometimes the progression in Hero Academia doesn't feel like it's sticking. I know Skelly makes this point quite a bit, where whenever Bakugo has like a funny moment, it kind of takes away from. It kind of makes Bakugo seem like he hasn't grown up a lot. You know, like when Bakugo just randomly yells at someone. But at this point, Bakugo's become kind of a gag personified whenever he gets angry for no reason. Although we haven't seen that recently. Anyway, in other words, no matter how much you try to portray that way, you can't take a kid who can't give up his pacifier as a sign of growth. So this is ultimately a criticism of you got rid of the hands, but then you brought the hands back. And you keep them being a big part of Shigaraki, even though he's liberated himself from the hands. Like, I think you can still make this work. Anyway, in other words, no matter... Oh, I got that. As a result, I can only feel what? For the Liberation Front, it's supposed to be an organization that focuses on the philosophy of liberation rather than Redestro's charisma. That's exactly why it was derided as a religion. And yet, do you think it's possible for everyone to convert and follow the leader just because he changed his mind? So this is where we started talking about real world logistics. They started criticizing... Yeah, you have this radical group. Is the radical group really going to switch over to another leader when your first leader just changes his mind? Well, actually, it depends on your perspective. One perspective might say, yeah, actually, because that's the point of a radical group. They'll be like, yeah, whatever this guy says goes. So that one's an interesting... It really depends on how you ultimately see this. Even if Redestro's charisma was a reason for his success, he's just a bald bastard now, isn't he? It's almost as if I don't understand why there are 100,000 people left and why all the executives are following him. Now, we know that there was a little bit of hesitance with Trumpet. But it's because Redestro himself is kind of like a cultist. So I think on this part, again, not taking into account the fervor. Like if the author says these guys are just dogmatic and cultish, like it all makes sense. Anyway, he goes on to say there's obviously a difference in meaning between freedom through regulation and relaxation of restrictions and anachronism and primitive freedom. So this is actually a good point, because what Redestro wants, and this is, I've made reference to this before, but Redestro probably would not come into good alignment with All for One, because what they want is very different things. Even though Shigaraki might be at the center of it. Liberation Army is basically called, yes. So primitive freedom is like what pretty much Shigaraki is going for. And then like freedom through regulation and relaxation of restrictions was what Redestro was going for at the beginning. And then Redestro sort of shifts into Shigaraki's version of freedom. But if you notice, Redestro is still trying to shape Shigaraki's version of freedom into his freedom. Because he was the one talking about there was going to be a giant plan. So this is going back to the other criticism of like, it looks like people are moving, but when you look at the little details, they're actually staying in place. And that's, for Redestro, I think that's a worthwhile point, in that he was still seeking structure, even though Shigaraki is, I'm going to destroy everything. Mind you, like you might say that there was a little bit of a compromise in that Shigaraki was going to rule on the world, but like in that idea in of itself, it's still an idea of there being something for Shigaraki to rule over, and it was in conflict with the destroy everything line. And we know that Shigaraki doesn't care about the Liberation Front as a unit. Anyway, summary of the villain arcs. Recollection of each I don't really care about it because there are so many descriptions that are hard to understand. Growth of each character, abilities is improving. I don't feel mental growth. Twice had mental growth. The scenes are flashy but cluttered and hard to watch. The logic behind the victory and success of the strategy, there is none, as the story proceeds only by convenience. I think this is fair. Like, my criticism of Villain Academia is that Redestro was an idiot for picking a fight on Shigaraki's home, or like Shigaraki's battlefield. They shouldn't have been fighting Shigaraki on strength. They should have been trying to just drown Shigaraki. Anyway, they call it a travesty. There's not as much content as the wickedness on the cover. If this is the case, I think it would be fine to cut the entire story from the time the Coalition sets foot in the city of the Liberation Army to the time Hawk sets foot in the meeting of the Supernatural Liberation Front. This is actually funny. It's funny because this is exactly what's happening in the anime. And now, again, this is like the most voted up review on Amazon. But that says nothing other than it might have been a lot of critics saying that that was the most helpful review, right? Anyway. we go on into society and ethics. I've heard the Liberation Army is covering up the fact that it's a battle between a group of 20 or so armed men and its residents, and that a city collapsed as a result. Normally, when there is enough damage to destroy a city, it would be investigated in detail, so it would be impossible to cover up. At this point, we're now going into hardcore logistics, where I was impressed, but they kind of forget what Hero Academia is about. Anyway, they go on to say it's impossible to cover up the fact that the city collapsed as a result of heroes being lured in. And for a hero lured in and the city collapse thing, there's a lot of sloppiness, like Slide and Go is supposed to be seen directing traffic. It sounds good to say that society is cheering for the heroes instead of blaming them for their failures, but there's no doubt that a whole city has disappeared due to the heroes' failures. I mean, that's technically true. How about, but that might also be because like the Liberation Front controls propaganda. How about a society where the tremendous damage is passed off as the hero was doing his best? Well, we know like that didn't stick. To me, it seems like it's a clear dystopia. If the Liberation Army had enough power to cover up the collapse of a whole city, wouldn't they have been able to accomplish the liberation of the different powers through honest political activities? Am I the only one who thinks that? Okay, so it's pretty simple. If they can cover up, can they not win over more people? I mean, to be fair, they did control a 100,000 strong army, and they did have a member who was in politics. If you recall, the issue with Redestro was that Redestro went in there and he got upset that Shigaraki was more famous than him. Redestro was upset that Shigaraki didn't have pedigree, and that's what led into this hasty conflict. Like, the Liberation Army probably wins in the long term if you give them the time to win. But the Liberation Army was botched from the get-go because Horikoshi needed to make them fight Shigaraki on his own turf. So this criticism is ignoring, again, Redestro's mental state. Oh, hey, Maverick. Chapter 221. I'm wondering if Izuku... Oh, we'll talk about that in a second. We're almost done here, I think. Also, I feel that the ethics of this work has reached the point where it has reached in this volume. Okay, this is my favorite part, because this is something like we've talked about before. Deika was their city, though, yeah. After all, it's a mobilization of students. I wonder if the creators understand the weight and background of this word before using it. No, they don't. They don't. And to be fair, the audience doesn't understand it either. Like the My Hero Academia audience in general, they don't understand the implications of mobilizing students. And we'll talk about that in a second. Even if we leave that aside, we can't help but wonder if the creators are using the term with the Oh, I got that. It's outrageous to make children fight. I wonder if any of them have a sense of responsibility or pride as an adult to protest against the obviously strange policy of mobilizing students in a hero-saturated society, or to investigate with a sense of distrust. I mean, from what I've read, the minimum age for mobilizing students back then was 19, and the current international law also states that those under the age of 18 are prohibited from participating in combat activities. What does this mean? I think it's like a public organization's initiative to conscript juvenile soldiers. Was it really? So, we talk about this a lot, but let's face it, Shonen Jump is a magazine of child soldiers. We know this is the thing. So this is, again, too much logistics without taking into account the emotional value or, the nuance of the publication itself. Again, mobilizing the students is creepy and scary, but I really like the line of, I wonder if they have any sense of responsibility or pride as an adult to protest against the use of kids in warfare. And it's actually really funny because, like, when you look at the current chapters, like, that's what you have with the heroes. It's like they're letting kids go and do their battles for them. They're letting kids do the hard stuff for them. I understand this point of view, but in this case, it's because it's a child empowerment manga. There's a lot of things wrong with the idea of child soldiers, but we were already deep in it. Now, in regards to... oh, hey, Sarge. In regards to... Sorry, I was reading something. In regards to the idea of... Oh, God. Oh, God. I lost it. Outrageous to make children fight. It was going to be something about that. Give me a second. Dang it, Sarge. Outrageous to make children fight. Come on, come on. It was a good thing. Outrageous to make the children fight. What did I have on my mind there? If students are some of the most capable people, if there was a threat of society like villains... Oh, yeah, there we go. Thanks. That helped. Okay, So the point I was going to make was that people don't know how to conceptualize that idea that the kids are child soldiers. Because remember that time period where people were saying like, oh yeah, people are gonna get really upset at UA. They're gonna pull their kid out of school, and we're like, when we were talking about it, we're like, no, those kids are in military school. Like every parent signed up for this. It's not like they were told or promised that their kids wouldn't be doing dangerous things. Everyone knows what was going on here, and that's why you have the situation where people were maybe surprised that all of the 1A students were still in UA, right? Or like that the hero schools were still active. So in reality, the mobilization of students, it's a very dark thing in our world, but for the context of Shonen Jump manga, it doesn't really matter. But that idea in of itself, people in general aren't able to properly conceptualize what this means in terms of a fictional story. At least in Hero Academia, where child soldiers are glamorized. So it's unfortunate because you've been like this person's probably been reading it for a long time, and they, this is again the narrative taking over. Great. Let's move on. I'm not saying there should be a complete link between manga and real life and history, but still, what do you think? Is there such a thing as underdeveloped legal system for the weak and victims in a world that is less safe than reality? Is it a dystopia after all? It's interesting to keep going for a dystopia. Then they went into talking about Eri, because they went into a bigger point here, and I think this is an interesting discussion point as well. I was thinking about the point about ethics, but I also wonder about the treatment of Eri. I think she's a character who overcame her painful past and is now living a happy life, and she's a girl who misses Izuku and Mirio, but I'm not convinced. As for Izuku, as I've pointed out many times, he's abandoned her once, and so this is interesting. This was an interesting way of assassinating Izuku here. He carried her on his back without her consent and dragged her into the battle, and he didn't pay attention to her during the battle. There's not even a minimum level of apology or reconciliation for these negative actions. No, I think she did consent. So this is where you see like a little bit of strange rhetoric coming up now. But interesting that they went that direction, and yet I don't understand how they can describe her as pining for him so much that she sends him letters. And honestly, it's weird. I don't think it's a good scene at all because it looks like she just take advantage of the imprinted favor of the person who saved her. Then the bean throwing gag at Christmas party was not funny at all, and there were many descriptions that made me feel uncomfortable. When I thought about discomfort, I realized that either the creators were not truly interested in the subject of saving people or helping victims. I felt that it was because they didn't treat Eri as a human being. For someone with such a horrible past, did they even try to find a relative to take care of her, but instead just left her at the school, right? So this criticism comes out from the fact that the abilities of the teachers themselves are kind of not covered properly. Like we know in story, the reason that Eri was placed at the school was because Aizawa was the best security method against her. But in general, this brings up like, to what degree can these people actually care for a kid? And it's ultimately, when you look at the Aizawa situation, it's pretty much a situation of they are prioritizing the function as opposed, like the function of neutralizing Eri, as opposed to giving her a happy life. And then the people there are trying to give her as much of a happy life as possible. Anyway, they go on to say, how is that different from the treatment of abandoned cats and dogs? So they're making a weird appeal to emotion here. Like, I don't think it's really landing here, because like you're trying to mischaracterize Eri's treatment while also ignoring that Eri's a bomb waiting to happen. But it's interesting. The emotional rhetoric is interesting. The school doesn't indicate who's taking care of them. We know it's Aizawa. And they even, well, who takes care of her when Aizawa's not around and the big three aren't around? That's the big question. And then they have the Christmas party. Isn't UA a super elite school? Don't it teach common sense? No. I don't know what to make of that. I'm sure you'll be able to figure out what's going on here. The point is that Eri's role now is only to assert her bond with Izuku and the others, to use rewind, and to occasionally appear in front of Izuku and the others to be adored, a role that could be played by a dog or a cat. So with that, with the conclusion, like, she's there to assert her bond with Izuku, use rewind, occasionally appear in front of Izuku like a cat. So far, between Villain Academia and now, that's exactly what's happened. That's pretty funny. But we did have that little moment where Aizawa thought about her, I think, before cutting off her leg. And yeah, Jason, I agree. I felt it was because they were treated accordingly. If saving people is really important to you, shouldn't you put more effort into following up with and rescuing these weak people and victims? To that point, yes. Hero Academia doesn't do this though, and this is like actually a legitimate criticism about Hero Academia. Like, Izuku doesn't go to the people who had their houses ruined during the overhaul fight and helps these people get over the, make peace with the fact that they almost died, right? Izuku doesn't do that. Like, heroes don't actually save people from their negative trauma unless it's like a really important moment for like an arc or something like that. People just get saved and are left to their own devices. PTSD be damned. But that's nothing here nor there. We move on to Hawks. He's an excellent man that works fast. To put it blunt, like he went on to say, put it bluntly, he's just acting like he is with dialogue and atmosphere, and we don't see anything about him being good or qualified. So what he's saying here was pretty much like, we're being told he's amazing, but we don't really have the accolades to follow it up. He then goes on to say the high-end case was discredited and not trusted by the not trusted by Dobby, and he didn't realize until the coalition was over 100,000. So he's saying like, Hawks is great, but he didn't clue into this until 100,000 members were in Liberation Army, which is again, like, Hero Academia Society is like, yes, 100,000 people got to mobilize, and no hero that mattered found out about it. That is, like, you talk about hero saturated society, but it's like, yes, you're definitely more quality going on. Anyway, Hawks was distrusted for the suspicious behavior, going out of your way to give a marker drawn book to Endeavor outside of your jurisdiction. So this is another interesting thing. When you propagate your favorite book, you would go with a brand new copy to someone, so there's something wrong with that too. No, we know what was going on there. The worst thing of it all was that I was promoting a book on Liberation Army, right? So the current Liberation Front has changed its doctoring organization name since Destro changed his mind. So if he's preaching the old book, doesn't that mean he lacks understanding of the organization? This is actually a good point. Is there value in preaching Destro's thoughts if you went and aligned yourself with Shigaraki? But this goes back to the point that Destro didn't really give up on the things he wanted to do. He just liked how free Shigaraki looked, and he wanted to mold Shigaraki into his direction. That's, I think, what's coming out here. If Hawks doesn't realize it, it means Hawks is stupid. If Destro doesn't realize it, it means Destro is stupid. But no, that's actually... Going back to this point actually I think is reasonable because of, yeah, no, it is kind of weird that if you changed rhetorics, you shouldn't be promoting the previous book, but that ultimately says that Destro didn't really change, which is more consistent with what we see with its plan for Shigaraki. I'm not sure if it's because we've come this far because of the atmosphere and what it looks like, but I can't help but feel we're in a situation where we're standing on our own 2 feet. Also, I think the quid pro quo of forgetting the League was to provide information that can only be obtained by number 2. But I wonder when... Oh, I don't know what he's trying to say there. Is it enough to have a hero who belongs to Liberation Army? Am I the only one that thinks that? Even if the series were to Endeavor, training the students and encouraging their growth, Endeavor's a spoiled leader. Okay, that's where they're going down. But you guys get it. That was probably my favorite part. Overall, it's interesting. It's an interesting review, and it reminds you, like, why not to be too logical with things. Trying to see where I can find it again. I found it just quite fun. I am kind of concerned that 200, like, it's the most helpful review on Amazon. I'm kind of concerned this is the one that got so boosted when a lot of it is just flat out incorrect or just not acknowledging the little, like, the emotional cues. But it's interesting. It's ultimately interesting to see how someone could write that much and have it be so supported. Let's see. I'm just looking at another part here. I haven't seen this part. Let's see if there's anything worthwhile here. If you want to get... Doctor Who woke up Higantomaki early previous volume, even though he said he needed to push her because she was the successor to All for One. Toga is eating sushi and looks bad for her digestion, even though her... Okay. Destro, whose character and personality are completely dead due to his change of heart, surrender. Okay. The fact that they have not rejected the mobilization of the students, even though they decided having a boarding system for the safety of the students, makes it unclear whether they want to expose the students to danger or not. Oh, that's a good point. You brought them in. I guess you only want to expose them to danger when you're officially allowed to expose them to danger. That's pretty much it. The picture of Izuku in the door picture of the interview episode is weird because the balance of his face and body is wrong. Okay. I don't know if the sword Eddie got at Christmas is twisted or distorted, but it's weird. Yeah, this guy's just, this guy's lovely. Yeah, nah, that was just pretty much his summary. Overall, I enjoyed that. I really found that funny. And I liked seeing how far that went. I'm just, I was also interested in why so many people agreed with it. But from the interesting points that I took away from that is just like the muddiness to Shigaraki, and also just the stuff with Destro. So I'm going to go back and read your guys' comments now. Okay, there we go. No, I thought they were winning in the long run. They just kept it. If the students, some of them were, if there was a threat to society, everybody should be able to fight if they have the ability to do so. Armed society is a polite society. Yes. It's like parents sending their kids to Marine school. Do they not expect them to go into service the time comes? Personally, I never expected any students to be pulled out. The worst that happened to them was Bakugo getting stabbed and being in the hospital for 2 days. When you compare that to something like Shirakumo dying his second year, it didn't seem that serious. Agreed. They thought, so Matthew said, they thought beating the league would make the public love them, and it would progress their goals instantly rather than taking years. Even before the war arc, we had Overhaul arc where Izuku and Kirishima were exposed to deadly scenarios. Izuku literally asked to use her power right after saying it's a gift. Not to shift gears, but I feel kind of bad for the MC and Moonlit Fantasy Goddess made it so he can't understand humans, and humans run from him because of his mana. Oh, I know this part, random. She consented when she jumped off a cliff. Why is this part looking at a fictional sword with superpowers from a realistic perspective? That takes all the fun out of the series. Oh, I think it's kind of fun to look at it from a realistic perspective, right? Because, like, Revenant, for me, it's an issue of, like, it's important to understand where, like, Shonen Jump's propaganda lies, right? Like, it's important to, like, the reason is, like, the reason it's important is because sometimes a character like Dobby will bring up, like, you're using kids to fight a war, and it's like, yes, you're criticizing the genre. That doesn't work. You can't, no matter, like, for Dobby, no matter how much he criticizes it, even though he's right, it's going to go nowhere because the genre itself promotes it. That's the interesting thing about it, Revenant. It's when you have the conflict between the genre and logic. And Dobby is the one that has provoked it before. And I mean, like, to go on with Hero Academia, Hero Academia is extremely unfair to the readers when it comes to these things. Because, like, Hero Academia, the first big sin of Hero Academia was having a comedic moment be taken seriously. When they chained up Bakugo and they had Shigaraki and them take that as a sign that Bakugo was a villain, that was the moment that Hero Academia stepped in it. You can't break between the comedic moments and the villainous moments like that. You can't meld them together like that, because if the villains take it seriously, that means everyone else needs to take it seriously. And when we take it seriously, we have to say, how dare an authoritative body chain up a guy that didn't want to receive an award? Imagine if that happened in the real world, where you can apply those kind of logics to it, it would break. And so that's the other thing. You know, they never criticize UA for tying up Bakugo, even though the villains took it seriously. That's where Hero Academia broke its narrative the first time. Because you just can't have a situation where only one party takes a particular event seriously and everyone else is just blind to it because that's convenient for the narrative. That's why it's interesting to talk about it from the realistic perspectives. And Hero Academia opens it up because Hero Academia doesn't know how to keep the genre-based propaganda separate from real-world logic. Also because Eri's dad doesn't exist anymore. Her mom left, who knows. Let's see. Funny enough, right. Interestingly, child soldiers still exist today. Not trying to be doom and gloom, but there are real instances today of indoctrinating children into terroristic actions. Yes, we know that child soldiers still exist today, but those practices are condemned by most developed nations. This review is too logic. There is unknowns in a fictional for all scenarios you complain about to make sense, vice versa. What side are you in terms of how you think view the world might put you on your side of thinking? Go back in history and there were times where fighting was not a choice. Oh yeah, no. Like, we got to look at it like child soldiers from the perspective of the current world, like of the modern world. Like, it's reprehensible in the same way that child labor isn't something that's done anymore. So from the perspective of modern world, I think it's worthwhile to point out, like, yeah, these are child soldiers. Needed more insight on what that itch Shigaraki was having as a kid when it started. The way his mom talked made it seem like it was a long time itch. No, I think the itch was just anxiety. Like, for me, I thought the itch was just the stress from being in the house with his dad. It's about kids becoming heroes. It's like saying, don't defend yourself, be weak, and let villains walk all over yourself and your country and your world. I see what you're saying there for that one. I think, like, in our current world, you don't want to have kids. You don't want it. I think you don't want to have to give kids the choice to be child soldiers. I think that's the issue. Because in the current world, like in our modern world, the idea is that adults will protect kids. Although, that falls apart depending on your neighborhood and your social status and all that kind of stuff. Like that definitely falls apart. But let's talk about like the modern, in terms of modern idealism. The modern ideal is that kids shouldn't have a choice to be a child soldier. It's different when you have no choice. That's a different paradigm. I think that's worth talking about there. Don't see firefighter return to a burned victim's house to ask how everything's. They don't always have to check on them 24/7. Yes. So they saving the kids that need to babysit every other. If we take off true, then yeah, the itch was his desire to destroy. Yeah, no, I think it's anxiety. The heroes are first responders, not counselors. A firefighter isn't expected to help in PTSD. That isn't their job. Same with heroes. Yeah. No, it's just one thing to point out is that people talk about Izuku being great because he saves people's hearts, and it's like, no, Izuku doesn't. Izuku only saves it when it's like when it's important for the narrative of the story. It's different now in the current era because Izuku's trying to do more with his villains, but even then, Izuku's still pretty shallow. It's just like some people argue Izuku saves hearts. The heroes are, let's see, Redestro didn't change that much. He just thought Shigaraki was a better model for a leader since he was the embodiment of liberation. But the goal was still to get people to use their quirks freely. Yeah, but for me, it's worth pointing it out. He put Shigaraki as the leader, but they do still have fundamentally different ideals, right? Like there wasn't really that much of a change. Like I don't think there's been a proper reconciliation between the fact that Shigaraki wants to destroy everything and Redestro wants a survival of the fittest world. I feel he kind of went off the rails considering that this is supposed to be the Eddie stuff seems to be kind of off topic and went on for a very long time. Yeah. I agree with that. Like that felt like a little bit of a tirade towards the end. I feel there's enough of Shigaraki already having the desire to destroy to justify it. You have Shigaraki saying that he always wanted something like that to happen. Okay. Let's see. There are manga characters age in real time like Dread. Don't know. The Shigaraki saying that he wanted to kill the thugs who hoarded him. Asked him what to do. There's all for one saying the itch is the desire to destroy. Then there's all for one saying Shigaraki was born twisted enough to become the next him. That Shigaraki was. Bakugo looks like a sword winner to a normal person, but looks like an opportunity to exploit the villains. Shigaraki might have Posho are probably the biggest factor to the Bakugo situation. Nah, Speed, like in no proper context do you muzzle a kid and you chain him to a post and make him look like he's about to be crucified or like beheaded. Nah, man. Like, come on. That's the where you draw the line there. That just doesn't happen. There should be no situation where you have a villain with a picture of a student locked up. Like that just doesn't happen, right? Like you understand my point on that one. Nah, man, that looked sketchy from the get-go. Like if we're gonna say that that's allowable, I feel like that's making a bigger point about Hero Academia Society. But yeah, no, man. Interesting little review. But ultimately, like even though the review is supported a lot, like the review, at the end of the day, like when you're looking at it, if that's the best review for Villain Academia, that says even more that, well, like, in a way, if that's the best review for Villain Academia in terms of being the most helpful, it's like, that wasn't solid in quite a few points. Like, there were some interesting points to look at, like, and it's interesting to point out how logical the person approached it at the beginning, but if that's where the criticisms are for a typical Japanese person, then what can you really say about the criticisms towards Villain Academia, right? It was an interesting little thing to look through. Overall, from what I've seen from Amazon so far, I don't believe that Villain Academia was unpopular in Japan. Like, not even looking at the volume sales, I don't believe that's the case. So now it's like the big question of like, what exactly is the end game for the anime? Sar said, I agree about thinking about modern time. I'm just being the devil's advocate. That's totally fine, Sar. It's also a world with superpowers rather than everything being reliant on bombs and such. Nuclear peace allows times like today, even though it's never black and white. Teachers beat up kids on the regular. Yes. Yes, they do. That's a good point, Speed. They do beat up the kids on the regular. I mean, like, again, this is one of those points that we have to be really happy that Hero Academia doesn't really dwell too much on the mental scarring those kids would probably pick up if they were real. But it's also funny because people, like, I mean, we want to see the kids process all the tragedy that they've seen, but at the same time, like, if the kids don't process all that much of the things that go on around them. Oh, it's just funny. The thing is that in the past, they didn't let kids participate nor engage in actual combat. But after Camino, they started to let kids have even more of an active role, as we saw in the overhaul arc. Well, yeah, that was also because like the mandates that came out and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, your good point. Like, it is the promise of the adults not letting them die. Like, we did see that a few spots as well, right? Like, even in the war when Shigaraki was... Like, Shigaraki got close to killing a lot of kids. But maybe because of their protocols, the kids were largely able to survive. I mean, it got kind of dicey there when, like, the overwhelming factors of Shigaraki and Gigantomachia became an issue, though. Alright, now, what do I want to do here? Alright, the restaurant. Stand Pines. Oh, Oceans! Mental health just becoming quirk power-ups. It's okay. Oh, you're so right. You're so right. Oceans. Yeah, let's watch Oceans. Let me just rest my voice for a little bit. Okay, so let's just also grab this. Let's see. There was absolutely was a scene like that. Just look at Gigantomachia. If that doesn't scream as good as All for One, then I don't know what does. Oh. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I agree with that. White Despair. I agree with that. That's a good point. And yeah, Random, I think it's probably because Ball's gonna have an energy recharge mechanism. I wonder how many people Maki killed getting to Shigaraki. Oh, probably tons. Like, did you like probably the same amount he killed trying? Well, you know, probably comparable to the amount he killed when he was running through 19 cities. All right. All right, cool. We have the traveler permit. Have you been hydrating recently, Trip? Thanks, Viz. You always look out for me, bro. Also, for anyone asking why I just drank out of a straw like a pleb, I have really sensitive teeth. Don't judge me. It really, really hurts. You pulled dual Sita? Oh, nice. There's so many new recipes given. Yeah, I think that chapter 3 and 2 where we get if Izuku accepted the help of class or escaped. I wonder how many... So overall, for the next chapter, I still think Izuku's gonna run away. You know? I'm still feeling it. I still feel like Izuku's gonna run away and break that cell phone. Just feel like that's more likely than not. Are you feeling better than yesterday? Yes, man. I am feeling 100% better, man. I feel so much better. Like my arm ain't sore anymore. I'm all good again. Like yesterday was pretty rough. Drink room temperature beverages. Oh yeah, that one was room temperature. But I like cold water, especially when it's like super hot right now, man. But yeah. The person who forget the review just completely forget about that part. Yeah, probably White Despair. Probably. Which is also like why it's kind of concerning that so many people were kind of agreeing with that review or find it helpful. Like, I know in general when you have like helpful reviews like that, they're usually like the nuanced reviews. Those are the ones that tend to be the most helpful, from what I've seen doing my like Amazon research. So I don't know why that one was picked up so greatly. Okay, good. We got her, like, we've helped her little love thing. Bakugo apologized to get Izuku to come back. Oh, you think an apology from Bakugo, man? I don't know. I don't know about that. Like, Bakugo apologizing to Izuku. I feel like if I was to see that, it would be like Bakugo crying. It's just like Bakugo came in so angry. I don't know if that anger will turn into like tears and him just being like, Izuku, I'm sorry. Like, please just come back, man. You're an idiot, please. I don't know if we would go in that direction. I just feel like Bakugo's come in so aggressively that I don't know. I feel like if you see Bakugo being the one to go to tears, I feel like that would make it seem like Bakugo's like more in the wrong for this, kind of. because like when I see Bakugo's anger, I feel like he's justified in his anger. But I mean, it depends on how it's executed. It really depends on how it's executed. Yeah, nah, like I think Izuku's gonna keep making really bad choices until they finally all come back to bite him all at once. That's still what I'm seeing for Izuku, and right now I'm looking forward more to Izuku just flat out being like, yeah, I'm not coming back, guys. Like, I want to see Izuku dig himself so deep that when time comes for him to try and get out of that hole, he's gonna be like, crap, I've really screwed up, and that's when his friends are really gonna need to be there for him. Sar, what video? Are you talking about Oceans? We haven't watched it yet. Deku has to. Oh wait, let me just see. I have sensitivity to. I don't eat ice cream. People who chew ice make me cringe. Me too, man. Me too. An issue with All Might is going to have them team up to save him. I agree with that. I would agree with that. Do you think Izuku's dead? Dad will probably show up to smack Izuku back? No. Like really, for him, I imagine it more as he shows up when it's time for. Sorry, I'm just gonna try and do this here. I feel that's more likely to happen. Actually, yeah, we can just go to the next island. That's gonna happen when All Might's die-in or something like that, because that makes the most sense to me. And I feel like Izuku's dad isn't a deadbeat. I'm pretty sure that guy's paying all of Izuku's tuition and Inko's fees. Oh yeah, no, I haven't watched the Oceans yet. I'm just resting my voice for a quick second. Oh man, I'm glad that quite a few of us have sensitive teeth. Kind of makes me feel a little bit better about it. You know, I didn't always have sensitive teeth, but now that I do, it really sucks. Oh wow, yeah, this is neat. This is really neat. Oh, there's a tree over there. That's excellent. Now let's see. I want to go. So we'll go over here, and by the time I get there, I think I'll be good to go, and I'll watch the Oceans video.
Another test subject. That tingle?
Good. Everything's slowing down now. Okay. Oh, Mark. Hey, Mark. Mark, listen, man. I need to talk to you, Mark. Mark, I know that you've been through a lot of stuff. I know you lost your partner, but the Force needs you, Mark. We need you back, Mark. I hope you remember what we're talking about here, Mark. But anyway, yeah. Going to White Despair's question. Do you think All Might shows up in one of the next few chapters? Just wondering, since we see what looks like Hercules at the end of the chapter, and they can clearly see the ice from the car. Yeah, I feel like he might show up when everything's done. Like, he might show up in time to tell Izuku to please just stop. Like, that might be All Might's moment to finally just say, like, Izuku, stop. But we might just see also All Might getting there too late. Right? It all depends on... Like, All Might has enough reason to make a change now. Well, we'll have to see. I think it go either way. I would like to see All Might make one last impassioned plea to Izuku. Because, like, if Izuku... Then again, like... If All Might's gonna die, the previous moment we got with Izuku and All Might is enough for it. So maybe he arrives there after Izuku's gone already.
Brace yourselves.
They put units so far away instead of making the boat get... So there's no using it to get to the secret island in Mondstadt. The secret island in Mondstadt? Which secret island?
Shudder.
You mean the one that is part of the quest and all that kind of stuff?
Cheap tricks.
Let's dance.
Vengeance will be mine.
Let's see. I think the car is best genus car if the windows are any indication. Oh, Speed, you're going through the windows, huh? I thought that was All Might's, but if that's... If that's Endeavor and them, that'd be pretty interesting. Fingers crossed that Izuku's dad's one of international heroes. I feel like if he is, there's a lot of explaining to do. Fingers crossed it's not Endeavor. Oh, sorry, no, sorry. Well, actually, that was a theory back in the day, too. Fingers crossed it's not All for One. And that's all I really hope for. Let's see. I'm trying to get closer to that red beacon over there. The one near the very top of the map, but is not shown on the map. You have the Kaya Bridge there. I think I know which one you're talking about, man. It must be the one with the quest. Yeah, the one that would be right around here, somewhere. That island. I thought that island gets a teleport at some point. Oh yeah, no, you can teleport away from there. Yeah. There's another way of getting to that island too, though. If you wanted to, you can get to that island by making a bunch of the stamina recovery items and then just swimming there. But you need to have a lot of the stamina recovery items. It might not be worth it in the long run, but it might be fun for a meme.
Brace yourself.
Let's see. I like how there is a huge area of lightning. I'll give the achievement. Stormbear Point has a teleport. Ah! Thank you, man. I was wondering. I couldn't remember, but I'm glad. Thank you, Sarge. Oh, hey, Gohan. All Might car has a 2-door car, while Best Jeanist has... Oh, sorry. All Might has a 4-door, while Best Jeanist has a 2-door. Okay. I didn't notice that, Speed. So thank you. I'll have to correct my my thinking on that one.
Wouldn't gliding be faster?
Or it could be an. It could also be a Horikoshi mistake. Although that, like, it's not very fair to call everything that doesn't agree with me a Horikoshi mistake. But then again, we've gotten a lot of Horikoshi mistakes. Alright, cool. Nice. We did it. Nice. This looks neat. This looks like a neat place. I can't wait to explore. Yeah, no, me neither, man. Me neither. So we're gonna go towards... Can I do this? Nice. I think I'll power up the Electrogana, maybe. Alright, cool. We got the Statue of the Seven now. And then we can continue exploring.
It stopped raining
But anyway, you guys want to watch the Oceans video for the current arc. So let's check out Ocean, see what he had to say. Let's see. Oceans. So YouTube Ocean is... I can't wait for the Omiya banner. Yeah, man, gonna skip it. Oh, it's a 20-minute video, so that's gonna be a lot.
Grammarly helps make your writing clear and concise, no matter where you are. Compose a cover letter.
Adaptation.
1 second, guys. Do. So let's see what Oceans has to say about this. Gohan, I'm skipping Yoimiya because I want Kokomi, and I don't know if I'll have enough summons by then. That's why I'm saving, and I also want Ball, so I need to save towards Pity as much as I can. I'm prioritizing the future, Gohan. Let's see.
As you've certainly heard.
Let me just move this around. Oh, hey, DeAndre. Yeah, no, I think we had fun. It was an interesting review. It was interesting to see how logical, to a fault, someone could be. I wonder what total amount of electro to fully upgrade a statue. I don't know. Oh, fair, Gohan. Fair. Alright, so we're watching Oceans. We're going at 1.5 the speed, so we'll probably be done like in 15 minutes. So let's go.
Before, the
Actually,
mark
no.
of a true artist is the ability to fully utilize the unique properties of the medium they work in. Books are at their best when they fully immerse you through their unparalleled control of verbal narration.
Okay.
Painting shines when the techniques take full advantage of the texture and physicality of the canvas. And video games become truly special when they commit to the interactive experience completely. But this also means logically
I mean,
that
like-
adaptation, which is a transference of a work from one medium to the other, is by definition incredibly hard. How can you make a story which was made for one medium shine in a completely different medium? This question requires loads of creativity and
Props to him for going like, I was expecting like a King of Lightning level video or like a Chibi Reviews level video. I didn't think we were going for a full edit type video. I can respect that though.
ingenuity to answer, and even then, it isn't always successful. However, for us couch watchers and online typers, any adaptation presents a window into the mechanisms of artistic mediums to see how and why certain tricks only work in a certain medium.
I agree with that.
And because I'm obsessed, today we'll be talking about the anime adaptation of the My Hero
Like when you see an adaptation, you can also try and figure out what exactly a team was thinking was going to be the more important thing to keep, and what a team thought was going to be stupid information to keep. Like with Hero Academia, you can it's interesting to see what they think is okay to skip.
Academia manga by Kohei Horikoshi. The manga to anime adaptation pipeline is among the more
The capture is super stuttery. Is it? Oh, it's because my signal's bad, guys. Sorry. Yeah, I can't do anything about that. That's my like the internet today's been kind of weird, so it's gonna be a little bit stuttery. I have to apologize for that. There's no way around it. Let's see if I can just try and make it a little bit better. Gonna try and close multiple windows, see if I can improve it slightly. And yeah, so guys, any issue you have is just because the internet's rough. All right, let's go.
streamlined in today's artistic industry, but you still get varying degrees of success. Between stinkers like Berserk 2016 to creamers like Jujutsu Kaisen, anything can happen. And My Hero Academia's anime, produced by Studio Bones, has generally been well received, albeit occasionally criticized within the latest few seasons. I've also been somewhat vocal about some of the things.
Maybe I should switch the switch the quality down. 720 60. No, I'll switch to 480. Maybe that'll help.
I'm not hot on, but I've never really compiled all my thoughts anywhere. So, today, I would like to do a general overview of the My Hero Academia anime, not as a narrative media product per se, but as an adaptation of the manga material. Before we can get started though, a few ground rules. 1. Adaptation does not equal recreation. I'm gonna say this loads more today probably, but when judging an adaptation of any work, the level of faithfulness to the original is not an adequate measure of success.
Oh, guys, just to say it out loud, yeah, no, my signal is pretty bad. I'm wondering if I'm touching my wires down here, but yeah, if you see any stutters, it's because of that.
Changes will have to be made in order to account for different mediums, and that is unavoidable. And whining about that because something is different does not really equal criticism. We're here to actually understand why things are the way they are. 2. While I will probably criticize visual aspects, this is done with the understanding that every single person working on this anime is incredibly talented and invested and is doing the best of their abilities. These people are underpaid as hell and really only run on their passion and enthusiasm.
It's really unfortunate that you have to make these disclaimers at the beginning, and that this isn't just like accepted, but you can respect that he knows that this is how it goes. You can tell who's an anime YouTuber.
I genuinely believe that there are 0 lazy animators and production staff in the entire world, and blaming production issues on them is unfair and ignorant. I would ask you to consider this as well when commenting. Lastly, I am not a Sakuga head, my name is not AJ. I know the names and the styles of a few big animation players, but that's about it. I'm just a guy with moderate behind-the-scenes knowledge. Thus, I can't be going too deep into the back end of animation production. If you do want to get into that, resources like my Sakuga Academia are readily available, and I will link a few accounts in the description that are more knowledgeable than me. It only makes sense that we start with what is first immediately apparent, the anime's general visual quality. My Hero Academia's look is, in one word, good. No matter how often weirdos stuck in the early 2000s zoom into a screenshot of a background character and call it bad animation, the fact remains that the average artistic quality of the anime is absolutely serviceable. All characters are recognizable 100% of the time, shots and action are well structured and rarely get confusing, and while the average level animation isn't incredibly high, the highlight moments of the story regularly get the premium treatment, so it all works out fine by the end. That is not to say that there aren't a few hiccups. The biggest gripe for me in the artistic department is that the actual base art style of the series can look a little awkward at times. While it never will, and honestly shouldn't, replicate Koya Horikoshi's drawing style, it should at least produce an equally pleasing product, and I don't think that is always successful. Namely, most faces, as well as some body proportions, are different in a way that I personally don't prefer, with the anime often elongating the faces. Additionally, as more and more key animators have their distinct style show through, the anime receives a greater variety of miniature styles within the main style. And while that is a good thing by itself, the result is that Deku especially often looks kind of odd. But that is very much personal preference. However, I think the biggest victims of these inconsistencies are characters with simpler designs such as Mirio, because they become subject to the law of artistic minimalism. The fewer elements a drawing has, the more on point those elements have to be in order for it to look right, since our brains have fewer reference points. So, when Mirio goes through various subtle differences, it's easy for it to look off, which is a shame. Additionally, any design or moment that includes texture in manga gets
That's pretty
severely
cool.
flattened in the anime, a necessary price to pay, as animating this many lines on a consistent basis just isn't feasible long term, especially not in a TV production. However, it is nonetheless disappointing that the anime then rarely works around it to retain the mood or physicality of the design, instead just going with the flattened version and hoping that we're all fine. This is especially apparent with Hero Killer Stain and Shigaraki. However, lately they've been trying to compensate for it through the use of the same progressive CGI filters that they previously used only on Dark Shadow, and I think the results are fairly nice, like for example on Black Whip. Also, while the art generally looks good, there are the occasional still shots that look pretty wonky, not in the background either, but around the visual focal point, which is pretty odd. When you have an image that is not going to move, you might as well give it a bit of an extra flair, right? But hey, corners have to be cut, especially in a conveyor belt production like this. So it's not hard to live with these, it's just something that comes up occasionally. And a lot of the things I'm going to mention today are probably going to be smaller points, but the thing about small things is that they build up
I actually really appreciate that he talked about that. Like, yeah, no, like, that's pretty fair.
over time, so keep that in mind. But maybe the biggest single issue of the visuals are the backgrounds. Atelier Musa's background work for the anime remains consistently subpar, with many of the locations looking uninteresting, bland, and lifeless. Not to mention the use of blotch texturing, which makes everything look as if it has coffee stains on it, as well as the very shapeless nature art, which just does not look great in my opinion. If you don't know what I mean and are having a hard time to understand what I mean with background,
that's a pretty
I
ugly
personally
one.
also didn't quite get what people meant when they talked about it, go watch Heroes Rising sometime and focus specifically on the backgrounds. Then watch the TV anime and do the same. The difference is night and day, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You're welcome. However, on the positive front, the animation often adds small extra flares that were not present in the manga. For example, additional character animation or expressive visualized sound effects, especially in the newest season, as well as referencing extra diegetic material such as color pages and volume covers. These touches are small, but again, they add up over time to give the anime its own charm and feel. I personally am a big fan of the way the anime differentiates characters through their animated mannerisms. From extreme examples like Ida's robot moves to Ashido's constant fidgeting, it makes these people feel alive and personable, and that is really cute. It is also impressive that it remains relatively consistent, even across episodes that are otherwise not as visually impressive. Also, when the animation chooses to pop off, it pops the fuck off. While the show doesn't move a lot during some of the more incidental moments, the big showstoppers are given exciting and viscerally affecting visuals by some of the real star talent, including Yutaka Nakamura, Koki Fujimoto, and series character designer and director at some point, Yoshihiko Makoshi. Season 4, which arguably was one of the more troubled seasons, even ended with the anime's strongest episode, a 20-minute extravaganza of all manner of talent coming together to animate the fuck out of Endeavor frying a mutant to death.
Uh-oh.
When you
Goddamn ads. So far, I don't, like, I can't talk about art and animation. I don't really care. I only care when it makes something look stupid. Like, I only care when the story's impacted by it. Which is very rare for it to happen. Okay, now I can talk about this.
While I'm not going to review the story of MHA, since I do that in every other video already, I do want to talk about how that story is communicated in animated format. The addition of voice acting, music, and color mean that now the director has to think about new elements when crafting and adapting a scene. This leads us to the topic of direction, the art of designing scenes and stories in a visually coherent and interesting way. And this is where the anime loses me a little bit. Throughout much of the first 3 seasons, the anime attempts to match the boarding and framing of the manga panels as closely as possible, identifying itself as a very faithful adaptation.
Good, Mark.
However, this is not really as good of a thing as it might sound. The manga is drawn to be enjoyed and experienced in a manga format, and that doesn't always translate well onto the screen. Think about how, for example, manga is a vertical medium, while modern TV is horizontal. The compositions that work in one may not work in the other. So, many key scenes run the risk of just being colored, less detailed, and less well-composed versions of their manga counterparts, which is not just a shame in its own right, but also limits directional creativity. I think the best way to illustrate what I mean is to look at an example of good direction. When Deku goes to meet Night Eye, the anime includes this shot, completely original, which shows how imposing and anal Night Eye is while being genuinely fun and interesting to look at to try and figure out how the various reflections work. And while these moments do pop up, they are the exception. Most of the time, the anime is oriented by the manga panels, and so creative shots like these don't appear all that often. Most of the time, most shots are just an inferior version of the manga counterparts.
Yes.
And that just is not very enjoyable, especially if you have read the manga. However, good direction does exist, and as it shows up, it gives us glimpses of something truly special, My Hero Academia taken to creative heights, with insanely cool compositions and ideas abound. The way Night Eye's quirk is depicted, for example, is generally pretty cool, as well as many of the All-for-One lore scenes using some cool post-processing effects like scratches and fractals to really give it that ancient feel. It's good stuff when it pops up, I just wish it would pop up a bit more often. Another aspect that goes into direction is creating atmosphere and mood. And I'm not going to beat around the bush too much, the anime is mostly alright with this. It leans very heavily into the wholesome and inspirational vibe of the story, which can be really great at times. Pretty much every scene between the kids is given a lighthearted and casual mood that elevates them beyond the manga, which really helps to make you care for these little idiots. And every moment of triumph is given space, fanfare, and excitement that really gets the blood flowing. However, one area where this bites the anime in the ass is any story segment that is more depressing or dark. Victories, after all, only feel good if there was darkness that had to be overcome, and the anime seems to willingly mellow out that darkness in order to appeal to a younger demographic, potentially and probably because of its time slot. Characters like All for One overall have some of the more disturbing features neutered and decreased, and while censorship isn't everywhere, it pops up, understandably. But maybe the biggest issue here for me is how the anime, outside of a few exceptions, refuses to use any color palettes except midday brightness. Locations like Overhaul's lair, which could have been the opportunity for some truly dramatic lighting in one of the darkest arcs of the series, are lit like a noon stroll in the park, and as a result loses most of its atmosphere. And all-day scenes are lit pretty much the same too, making most of the events look way less affecting than they should. Everything looks like it happens under the midday sun, and that is just not very exciting.
I agree, Sarge. I agree on that one.
Pretty much the norm, and that's a shame. Another shame is the pace. While it for the most part is alright, the anime sometimes hits weird spots of incredibly inconsistent pacing, for example during the joint training arc, when the series slows down to a crawl through the overuse of flashbacks. These tiny callbacks exist in the manga as a single picture, but are here translated into full re-showings of entire scenes, which
Good, yeah, we talked about this yesterday. We talked about the problem with this. Yes.
really kills the momentum of some scenes. And it is not limited to the joint training arc. Some flashbacks are even expanded, which is good to give the viewer additional context, but bad because, again, the momentum of any given episode is just absolutely murdered. Intersecting with direction is storytelling, the communication and ordering of story segments. There isn't much to say here because generally the anime doesn't alter the story of the manga at all, so the story of the anime is the story of the manga. There are only two notable exceptions to this. At the end of Season 2, the summer exams, which were all simultaneous in the manga, are instead made to happen in a set order. This change is a godsend, and maybe one of the best things the anime has ever done, because it turns a confusing, incoherent mess that switches between 10 locations constantly into a streamlined, easily digestible sequence of battles. This change ends up being unambiguously to the series' benefit. The second example is still up in the air. As of writing this video, it's become evident that Season 5 will be switching the order of the Endeavor Agency and My Hero Academia arcs.
Yes.
By far the biggest change the anime has ever made to the story. There are loads of scenes that depend on the order, so it's easy to be anxious. But I can't see the future, so I'll let the future U versions tell me how it went. I am, however, hopeful. Bones seems to be very passionate about this project, and I think they probably put some thought into it.
I don't know about that. I mean, like, maybe, like, I think they're in, like, I think they're in, let's make the best of this as we can. I don't think they put thought into it. I think they got told some stuff. I still think they got told some stuff, and they're trying to work their best around it.
I routinely got bottom grades in music class, but even I can tell you that Yuki Hayashi's score for My Hero Academia
Dang it.
fucks. It slow fucks me against the wall and offers me champagne afterwards, in fact. The compositions are emotionally charged and carry every energy you would want, from slow sadness to furious anger to triumphant joy. Also, Gentle's theme is literally from TF2, so that's cool. Saying his music is a great fit for the series will be insanely redundant. There's a reason Yusei Run became one of the most recognizable anime tracks ever, and singing its praises, while fun, doesn't really tell anything new. The music is phenomenal by itself. So instead of saying any of that, allow me to bitch, since I clearly haven't done that enough already. While Hayashi's music is amazing, its actual placement is incredibly hit or miss past Season 3. The man composes godlike tracks, but way too many either go unused or are used in nonsensical places. Overhaul's theme, which is a Yakuza trap beat, only plays in the filler episode once. The track, literally called Deku and Kachan, which combines Yusei Run with Bakugo's theme and was composed for a season where the two fight, does not play during their fight beyond tiny snippets, and is instead saved for Mirio walking through a door once. And this fate befalls many fantastic tracks. Aoyama's theme, which is a banger, remains unused to this day. And I think the reason for this is another shortcoming. While Hayashi has over 5 seasons composed dozens of tracks, the anime, for some reason, insists on only using the same 5 OSTs over and over for 90% of all non-climax scenes, and it really makes it seem like the anime has no clear vision or idea how to handle the smaller moments on an auditory level. The series has lately begun using specially composed insert songs for key scenes though, which is very appreciated. I love Might You, and I love Hero 2. They're both fantastic songs, and I cannot wait to get my hands on the insert song that they use for the Christmas episode as well. Speaking of appreciating the sound design, boy, that voice acting. In all language versions that I can judge, the voice cast does a great job, with only some incidental voices falling short occasionally. The Japanese offering presents a strong range of tones that are, as far as my non-Japanese ass can tell, masterfully controlled and directed. The English dub, which I can judge more easily because I speak the English, also shines, with many voice actors either perfectly replicating the Japanese version or giving it their own flair, both of which are valid approaches. Some characters, like Shigaraki, tragically end up with weaker performances in both versions, but even here, improvements are regularly heard. I was never hot on either version of Shigaraki, but the first glimpses of My Hero Academia we've gotten have both the Japanese counterpart and English counterpart
Oh, that's cool,
present
Miguel.
a pretty strong performance. As for sound effects, literally no complaints here. Everything sounds as it should, and I am especially fond of the juicy sound of One for All activating. It really makes you understand why so many characters shit themselves when it's coming for them.
Produce at Walmart
Oh
is
god.
fresh,
Oh god.
dry-
Walmart. Gotta watch out for those ads, because sometimes I get ads about my local politics. That might be bad if I get caught by one of those ads in the future.
If I had to sum up My Hero Academia's anime adaptation, it would be good. It is neither an extravagant, flawless translation, nor a train wreck disaster. It is, for better or worse, a perfectly serviceable way to experience a story that peaks in tandem with said story. However, its lack of creative vision harms the moment-to-moment experience at times, which does hold it back a bit. However, for a series going on 5 seasons long, its quality remains as strong as its grip over the anime community, with its highlights easily making up for any shortcomings. Like, sometimes I feel compelled to just complain about small things that annoy me because I'm an obsessive weirdo, but if the worst thing I can say about an anime adaptation is that it sometimes shits the bed in the smaller, inconsistent, and unimportant scenes, then honestly, I'm fine. I was excited for Berserk 2016, and I'm happy that nothing like that has ever happened to another series that I care. So, I'm good. While I might complain over on Twitter, I might complain over on other videos sometimes that certain things bother me, especially some of the directorial choices, at the end of the day, I'm having fun, and I have never been in a situation where I felt that recommending someone the anime was a worse choice than recommending them the manga. If anything, I would say that for 90% of its run, the anime can stand on its own and is a perfectly acceptable way of experiencing the story for the first time. And the other 10%, just read the manga after you caught up. It's very easy to read, apps exist, you do you, I love you. Hey all, thank you for watching, I really appreciate it.
I should do this for patrons as well. I should do this little screen here. Anyway, did you guys already watch the new movie trailer? Ah, no, I didn't, Poison. I might call it a day pretty quick here, though. I'd probably go for 10 more minutes, roughly, and call it there. But oh, now check. Okay, let's do the Nickelodeon, because I promised that to Ty. Oh, well, if we're here, we might as well just... If I'm here, I might as well just do the Hero Academia thing as well. God, how do you spell this? Okay. Am I gonna get copy struck? I hope not. No, it's too fast. I can't tell what's going on. Powdered Toast Man. What series is he from? I hate that there's music playing in the background. I don't know if that's copyrighted. I feel like there was like a Nickelodeon brawler at one point in the past. Oblina. Oh, that's cool. Ginger's Wildlife. Was that her name? No, that wasn't Ginger. It was something else. Eliza. Is Invader Zim in here? It's pretty much just SpongeBob. Oh, it's cool to see Olga. Ren and Stimpy. Ah, okay. Oh, Rugrats. It's cool to see Reptar. I laugh every time I hear him describe music. Never thought I'd hear music described in that way, but here I am. Yeah, man. Oh, there he is. Okay. Yeah, that's great. Oh, he's got that's high power. Oh yeah, no. 720 is going to kill my computer or the internet for whatever reason. Michelangelo, or sorry, Leonardo. Why did I mess that up? I hope Raph is here then. Okay, yeah, playback speed is normal. Yeah, it's alright. Alright. Let's see, Nigel Thornberry, Avatar's in this too. Oh, is he? Okay, and Korra are going to be in the game also. Oh, that's great. I also find it funny with the way you originally react. Oh, Grace Viz. Yeah, no, I just hear it. It's like I don't want to hear this. I hate it. I'm not. I mean, like, oh, it's all right, but it's just like I'm not used to it. You know what I mean? Like we go from a discussion where we're talking about Shigaraki in full seriousness and just whether or not he was born with destructive impulses or it's just anxiety, and then we go to slow love against the wall due to music. Like it's quite jarring. I can't be the only one that thinks it's jarring. All right, so this is the Hero Academia movie. I can only assume I'm about to be copyright struck to heck. We're just gonna check it out. I guess I'll react to it too, probably. For the salvation of humanity, already that's concerning, because the salvation of humanity, that's usually going to be something like, oh, we're going to save you by killing you, because then you won't suffer anymore, right? Like that's always getting me, and I'm talking a lot because I don't want to get copy struck. We, the members of Humorize, must action. You know, I might have not picked up the best person here to watch this from, but even if we must taint the earth with blood. See, already that's like the bad sign here. This guy doesn't want to save people. He just wants to taint the earth with blood. That's where it really is. Mr. Manhattan is a better blue-skinned man. Oh, Gang Orca, Cementos. Yep, you got the team together. We missed Ochako, but Ochako gets missed all the time, so it doesn't matter. I like that Izuku's wearing overalls. Like, they're getting so much value out of this one shot here of him standing over top of everyone, and it's like, that's such a, I doubt that's gonna happen really. Legitimately. I doubt that's actually gonna be a real scene. That's probably just gonna be like an exposition shot. I'd be very surprised. If that's actually a real shot, I'll be surprised and I will take it back. So people's quirks are going out of control. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's cool. Surprised not many people. Surprised there's not more dead people. I'm surprised that people didn't have a. I'm surprised like, if this happens before the war arc. Like it's just kind of funny how this goes. It's just funny that no one talks about this big disaster. Perpetrated murder is suspected to be Izuku. What did you do? Nothing. Oh, guns. I wonder if they know mustard. You're the killer, now I'm your accomplice. Okay. It's interesting that they seem to be in a really developed country. So that was a bunch of people doing stuff. Let's just go back a second, see if we can spot any people we recognize. So that's his buddy. Linked to, so that's the guy's arm. That's a device and a SIM card. Bakugo. Can't tell who that is. Now, is this person going to be relevant? I think this is the same shot we saw in the last teaser. Whatever. No, they're the villains. Oh, sounds like Zoro. Still very... kind of looks like Megamind in a way. Oh wow, Bako, pretty beat up. Oh great. Quirks are a disease, so we're back to Shizaki rhetoric. I do kind of wish they found new rhetoric to talk about. Oh, that's a cool person. Purify humanity. Cool to see Gang Orca. Who is this guy? Oh, villains. Another villain. Kind of looks like they got quite a few monstrous guys on their side. Yo, if Sugar Man actually gets a good moment here, that'll be surprising, man. That'll be 100% surprising. Oh, look at all those eyes. Shoji, why did you never produce an eye to look behind you when you had two people behind you in the dark woods? Alright, Momo's doing her best against cult members. That's unfortunate. She looks like she's just dealing with mooks. The heroes have to go through difficult times. Oh, you don't even understand. Huh. Good for Shoto. It's like, whatever, man. Yeah, whatever. Like, I'm not the kind of guy that gets excited for movies. Maybe it's also because I was watching it at 480p, but yeah, it's just kind of underwhelmed a little bit with it. And I actually wonder if Izuku's going to go out of control with his power. I wonder if they could trigger out of control for Izuku, because, like, One for All is all about control. So I wonder if it'd go that far without Izuku getting angry. Yeah, it'll be cool. It'll be cool. All right, let's read your comments. Still watch all my videos in 480 on high speed. Game looks, yeah. I don't know about the Nickelodeon. If you like the characters, it's cool, but you know, I just don't have time to play fighting games. The only time something is like Salvation is a bad thing is when it's a horror series. Yeah, pretty much. Am I the only one that thinks that Ochako was nerfed hard in that filler episode? I haven't seen it yet. Sorry, so I can't say. The main villain is voiced by Zoro voice actor. Oh, okay, so that's why he sounds like Zoro. He looks like a Megamind. That shot looks like something out of the Overhaul arc. Let's see. So first Quark activation gas, Megamind crossed with Mihawk. A hobo roof jumping got more Sakuga than season 5. Okay. It's the Alpha 1 meets Class 1A for the first time. It seems like Izuku was framed because of Roddy, new guy. Maybe. This trailer's for the movie. Sato looks like a beast in that image. Most intimidating. Yep, agreed. You know what's the saddest part about the mic is that Ida doesn't exist. See, Deku Sea breaking so original. Cult of the first quirk, aka the Golden Baby. Deku doing the final battle original. A face a mother can love. Yes. You guys all have wonderful comments. Yeah, it's just like, I feel like movie 2 was a little bit more impressive in general. And I just, you know, I kind of wish we didn't have, I think I'd be okay without having movie original characters. Like, Melissa was fine, but, like, the two little kids, they serve a purpose to get people, like, riled up. But I legitimately, I think it would be good to have a movie focusing on a character that doesn't really get a lot of attention. I mean, I know, very, very odd to have that kind of opinion. But, like, with Hero Academia being such an underserved property in general, I honestly wouldn't mind when it comes to those extra characters. Like, heck, man, give Class 1B, have one of those girls be, like, the main damsel in distress or main person in distress. Make that actually really interesting. Heck, give Pony something to do that has to do with, like, America or something like that. Like, it's just, you understand why it happens. It's because they need to make, like, some kind of heroic storyline in it. But personally, I don't really care. Like, these characters represent what I don't take very seriously about these movies. That being that this is a movie only thing. If there's ever a better, if there is ever a bigger manifestation of the idea that I don't care, it's like a movie original character. Except for Melissa, because Melissa's different. Oh, Mark. No, I did see part of it, Mark, but I need to go back. Let me just read Mark's stuff first. Mark. I was waiting for that too, man. God damn it, Mark. Ah, there it is, Mark. Alright. Sorry, guys. I just need to read Mark's thing first. Okay, I know what you mean, Chief. And after all the heavy drinking, hard drugs, and relations with women of the night, I looked in the mirror and I saw I wasn't happy with what I saw. So I went to Higgins' window to ask for forgiveness, and she told me there was nothing to forgive, that she and Higgins knew the risk that came with the badge. But she still wants a world with the man who kills the father of her child. Arthur J. Higgins walks free. So I'm back to get the bastard who took Higgins from his family. I won't rest until Kyle is behind bars, paying for what he did, Chief. Then, only then, will I earn the right to turn in my badge. That's right. That's right, Mark. I got your badge. It's been waiting for you right here. Pick it up, son. Go to work. We need you on the force, Mark. We need you on the force. It just hasn't been the same without you. You're the only maverick we got. Anyway, to the rest of the people, I gotta go back to my other job here. It's hard paying the bills, Mark. It's hard paying the bills. I got a family to feed, Mark. I got a family to feed. I'm 5 days from retirement, and I got a weird job coming up in the north. You know, in the bad side of town. I gotta do it, though, Mark. Gotta do it. Anyway, I believe the two may be getting Nickelodeon for nostalgia. It has rollback, which is what everyone wants in fighting games. Okay. Hey Trip, quick question. How did you feel about what they did with the final battle, Heroes Rising, one for all transfer side? Did you like when they muted the music during the final part? Maybe not. Like, I thought like the final bit of Heroes Rising was just like a lot of flashy colors that I couldn't really tell what was going on. Mind you, I got bad eyes, but like I was fully out of it. I was like, this is dumb. This is just really dumb. I would have rather really good choreography as opposed to like really flashy lights. But again, I got different opinions. Oh yeah, Pokemon Unite is what people are playing now. Yeah. I wanted to play with Skelly, but we didn't get the opportunity. Honestly, movie 1 was the best. Second movie's ending was stupid. Then we get the exact Izuku Punch scene in the second movie trailer. I think so. It's not a worldwide travel movie if they don't go to Venice or European Villa. Isekai, I think we just read new chapters. Get anime, I believe, next year. God Ida is too broken to be in the movie, saving his moments again against those high ends. He's gonna show up in the clutch moments, man. Cold Leader looks like Okamura from Persona 5. Movie 2's ending is stupid, but if they're going canon, everything has to return to status quo, and no one can mention it within the anime. Yeah. Soon Trip. Yeah, Scale. Movie 2 is based on his original ending, so it's pretty neat. But this movie literally just cash grab. One needs a movie. People spend money, whereas it's good. Why you think Western comic industry is falling? Movie 2 ending seems to be more about one for all sentience than the relationship between Izuku and Bakugo. I would agree. Good, Mark. I don't really care about Class 1B at this point. See, Poison, that's the problem. Like, I'd rather have Class 1B have an opportunity to make me care about them than give me this one-off character that I most certainly won't care about in the long scheme of things. I'll care about him in the scope of a movie because, you know, I'm not that mean. But beyond that, you know, I don't want to deal. I don't want to deal with it. Anyway, everyone, I think I'm going to call it there. So everyone, start giving me your last-minute messages if you want. Scaly, do you want to play Pokemon Unite after I get off stream? Scale? Let me know, Scale. But otherwise, yeah, everyone, going to call it there and then head off. We'll be back tomorrow. Don't know what we'll do tomorrow. We'll see. Probably just Genshin and chatting about Hero Academia. If you guys have any more Hero Academia stuff to chat about, I'm sure we'll have good discussions. If I find anything interesting, I'll let you know. But I enjoyed going through that review with you. I actually like reading through other people's reviews, especially when they're like really written out, because there's like a lot of ways you can pick apart their logic. Oh, Animamus, I think it's fun. I'm currently watching Anime Drugstore in a World. The slow. Oh yeah. Mostly because the MC is voiced by Kazuma's VA. Okay. Good night to Tai. The exact issue that the story taking Izuku to Foreign Nations would have. Let's see. When do you think you're gonna get Power Wash Simulator? I don't know, Viz. I don't know. Hopefully soon. Well, hopefully when I get like my next rounds of checks. Just for like my, you know, my just pretty much my pays for, or my salary for the next little bit here. Let's see. So saying goodnight to Gohan, Speed, Viz, Chris, D-Roddy, Matt, I got Fizz, Sar, Speed, Scale, Miguel, White Despair, Ty, Random, Mark. You can do it, man. Poison. Yeah, guys. Gohan. Have a good night. Stay safe. And until next time. Ending the stream in 5, 4, 3,